China's economic crisis, the shocking ghost towns. Good morning, everyone in a developed nation. And yes, it is everyone. We desire that, but it is extremely difficult for us to make a sensible selection between two possibilities: growing wealthy slowly but sustainably, or attempting to become rich fast, without thinking carefully, and then having to pay the price with the consequences. Both of these options are appealing to us, but it is very difficult for us to choose wisely between them. Let's take a look at China, which is shocking. They are now experiencing the consequences of their fast economic progress up to this point. Of course, it is necessary to point out that the Chinese are also quite excellent in the sector of manufacturing, and they have been very good for a very long time. They have been forced to copy technology and accept environmental trade-offs to outsource to other nations. But now they have started to make enormous achievements, even in certain sectors that they have created, that are behind the United States of America, Japan, and Europe. Welcome to my new video. We discuss China's economic crisis, the shocking ghost towns. Please help me grow this channel by subscribing, commenting, and showing it to your friends and giving it a like. Now let's dive into this exciting topic. The Western world has to gaze up in order to perceive things like renewable energy, batteries for electric vehicles, aircraft, quantum computers, supercomputers, and other such technologies. The skill of the Chinese people cannot be denied. However, there is one field where they have a big problem. Since the beginning of the 21st century, China has spent a significant amount of money on real estate, which is another cornerstone of the country's economy. It is possible to say that China has had to pay a hefty price for this. During the 2000s, China has made significant strides in accelerating the pace at which they are creating its graphs. This is a terrible method. You may see that China is able to construct buildings at such a rapid pace that a structure with dozens of levels can be finished in only a few dozen days. Yet in most other Asia countries, the construction process can take years. However, by using assembly technology that is manufactured in the factory and then transporting it to the construction site to be assembled, they are able to create a skyscraper that has hundreds of levels in a very short amount of time. However, what we are not talking about here is congratulating the Chinese for their exceptional construction skills. Rather, what we are talking about is the fact that they do not dominate the real estate business in order to sell an excessive amount of property. The results that are seen right in front of our eyes. The most prominent real estate businesses in China have failed, leaving behind millions of homes that have been abandoned and dozens of cities that have become ghost towns. When I was a kid, I didn't really give much credence to the idea that the nation would make an effort to ensure that all people could share resources and that everyone would have enough housing. Individuals who have a lot of money live in attractive homes. On the other hand, individuals who have little money live in ugly houses. Unless all of the houses are already taken up, and there are an excessive number of people, new residents are required to face the fact that they will be living in a home next to the market. On the other hand, when I am an adult, I will look at China and recognize that society does not function in that manner. The question of who is wealthy and who is poor is irrelevant in the culture of today. There might be as many as 65 million properties in China, which includes both villas and flats that are vacant. While it is true that 65 million is simply a number, if you take the time to count and envision what it would be like in the actual world, it is possible that it may be true. When you consider that it will be greater than the whole number of homes in California, Oregon, Arizona, Florida, New York and Texas combined or more. Try to picture that the average number of people who reside in a house in America is between 3 and 4. This is the average number of homes that are able to compensate for the few dwellings. There are 100 million people. While we just need 25 to 50 million homes, which is plenty, the Chinese only recorded 65 million homes that were vacant and did not have any inhabitants living in them. If we consider a home that is large enough to house 4 people, then those houses have the capacity to house up to 250 million people, which is equivalent to the population of Vietnam that is combined with Japan. The contradiction is in the fact that a significant number of Chinese people continue to be impoverished and do not own a house. They continue to be homeless, or to live in leased rooms that are in bad condition. But why is that? In the event that this occurs once again, you will notice that most people subscribes to the idea that purchasing a home is a type of investment, and as a result, real estate values continuously rise rather than falling. Because of this, very wealthy individuals are not permitted to move money into other countries due to the very stringent laws that China has in place to minimize the loss of foreign cash. Chinese tycoons mostly purchase real estate as assets in order to win. When wealthy individuals possess real estate, they have a legitimate expectation that the values of the property will go up high, due to the fact that if it goes up, they will earn a good profit when they sell it. And when they invest in real estate and make a profit, they invest more money and purchase more properties. Companies in the real estate industry see that they are selling more homes, and then become intoxicated once again because of this. They will get more wealthy as they continue to sell more. In the end, only those who are already unable to afford to purchase homes are the ones who are affected by this situation. As a result of the ongoing rise in the cost of housing, it is obvious that they are unable to afford to purchase a home. Due to the fact that their earnings do not improve, they are willing to live without a house. This is not to mention the fact that it has a significant impact on another concerning issue in China, which is the fall in population due to the large number of young people who are living in poverty. In the event that they are unable to purchase a home, they are reluctant to get married. They have a deep-seated apprehension about taking the plunge and getting married. Naturally, there will be a declining number of births. This will result in a decline in the population. A reduction in young individuals is expected. Numbers of elderly persons will rise. For 5 more decades to come, China will be suffering from a shortage of workers and labor force, which might lead to an economic disaster. As a result, the nation will be subject to a multitude of repercussions in the event that the real estate sector is not adequately governed. But who is in charge of real estate? Is it possible that departments within the government, which also own real estate, would be ready to put a stop to the expansion of real estate? It is really challenging to provide a solution to this issue. Consider what it might be like to live in a home. After a few years have passed, Mr. X's home will finally be occupied by his family. There are rodents and insects tangled up in the spider web. The sight of it is already excruciating. Additionally, if he was able to use that money into anything else, he would undoubtedly be able to increase the amount of money he earned. Continue to look. There are a lot of individuals who wonder why they don't develop hotels out of those abandoned structures and rent them out. Considering that the pricing is more competitive, is it possible for you to save money on the room? Despite the fact that we have only seen a few structures, we are already feeling a great deal of hopelessness. However, are you aware that in China, they abandoned not only a few homes or buildings? However, as a result, they left the whole city. It was not an ancient stone city that was falling apart and making it impossible for anyone to live there, so it was abandoned. Despite the fact that it was a fresh new city that had been constructed with 5-star quality, and that all of the furnishings was in good condition, it fell apart. The fact that you gave up on it in such a manner is a horrible shame. To give you an example, China had a sizable coal mine around 20 years ago. When they extracted coal, they made a significant amount of money from that coal, and they put that money aside so that they could construct an extremely large metropolis called Odos. It has the ability to hold up to 1 million people, and is comparable in size to the city of Houston, Texas. In terms of urban planning, this city is quite contemporary, and it does not lack anything, including power, streets, stations, hotels, or commercial malls. In the end, the Park Square turned out to be a deserted place and a ghost town, despite the fact that it was quite beautiful and highly systematic. The cause was not formally provided by any agency, but the majority of people believe that rich people purchased homes in that area. It is impossible for anybody to reside there since they all have homes in the major cities. They merely purchase them for the purpose of making money. But the coal miners who need them do not have the financial means to purchase them. The end effect is that the population of that enormous metropolis is barely 100,000. In spite of the fact that the local government has attempted to achieve its aim of attracting 300,000 inhabitants by offering tax assistance to those who purchase homes, the plan has not been successful. Picture a population of 1 million individuals, but there are only 100,000 of them who choose to make their homes there. It is comparable to a neighborhood in which only one house out of every 10 is occupied. In this regard, it is comparable to a graveyard of sorts. Imagining it would be like watching a movie about abandoned buildings that have been overrun by zombies or radioactive. No one really lives there since it is a fiction. Or, you may visit a different, smaller city that is far more excruciating. The gorgeous home in Shenyang, which was once constructed for very wealthy people who belonged to the top class. Now, however, as you can see in the photo, each mansion costs tens of millions of dollars. But today it is simply too evident that the occupants who really live here are not the upper class at all. Instead, they are particular livestock. Mainly due to the fact that when the growing season arrives, individuals would bring plows and harrows to dig up dirt around the villa branches in order to plant flowers and vegetables. We are going to exclaim that I see a villa in the center of a green cornfield, and then in the middle of a block of villas, the people turned back into a cattle cage, with the corn plants grow up. So you can see that in order for these cows to be able to live in a villa, that costs $1 million. They must have put in a lot of effort in their prior lifetimes in this life. If not, then it is certain that they are con artists who have been deceived several times in their previous lifetimes and have now become cows in this existence. You will find that you will cry out in sorrow and regret many times over if you walk inside. This is something that you will witness when you take a glance at it. It gives the impression of being the inside of a haunted home. All of these things were costly, but now they have become the home of rats and thugs. When the inside of the house is still furnished with beautiful objects, such as marble columns, exquisite chandeliers, and South African ironwood, all of these things were expensive. Ineffective and systematic real estate management is the root cause of this wasteful practice, which is definitely too much. The riches of the nation are not being allocated fairly. Using that kind of money, it could be able to construct social housing for those who are economically disadvantaged. Or the alternative is to construct a large number of industries and a large number of factories with money to study technology in order to compete with other nations that are rushing into real estate. This would prevent wealthy people from being able to dwell in the area, and it will eventually deteriorate and become a waste. Sometime in the near future soon. Do you have any good idea to help China's government to solve this too tough issue? The video for today has come to an end. We are grateful that you took the time to view this enlightening video. Remember to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the most groundbreaking content. If you enjoyed watching this video, showing it to your friends, commenting and giving it a like. Bye and have a nice day.